From the land of sky blue waters, welcome to the Sota Pod. Isha Reviews here alongside Seth, Toupal, and I thank you all for joining us wherever and whenever you are listening. We got a big show planned for you folks today, starting with the Hoppy Hour, as we dive into a funky one again from Wisconsin this week. Then we're going to jump over to some hockey talk. We'll run down the National Hockey League playoffs. We will check in on your Minnesota Wild players who are ripping it up at the IIHF World Championship. And then we'll go around the globe and highlight some stories in the world of hockey. Do not go anywhere. If you're watching on YouTube, smash that like button and subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment, as we really appreciate all of you who watch. We were gone this weekend, but we'll get back to answering your guys' comments on YouTube, as we love the interaction. A couple housekeeping notes before we get into this first segment of the show. Every Wednesday, streaming on our YouTube channel is Judd's Buds. If you want to be part of that show in the live chat, get your mailbag questions in early via Twitter or in the comments on past videos on YouTube. Hey guys, this is for the next one. Wanted to know about this, wanted to know your opinion on that. Like we said, we're totally interactive and we really appreciate hearing what you guys have to say as well. If you're just listening via audio on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts from, don't forget to give us 5 stars if you can, rate the show, leave a review, as just like commenting on YouTube and liking, leaving a review and 5 stars on your podcast app just gets us in front of more listeners, just gets us in front of more Wild fans. Let's get into the Hoppy Hour here before we bring on Seth, guys. And the Hoppy Hour is brought to you by our friends at Northland Vodka. Northland Vodka is the best vodka on the planet, ladies and gentlemen. Local company, great people. Mark Parrish and the gang are so amazing to work with and so beloved by the community, as they're always helping at local events, hockey and outside of hockey as well. A percentage of every sale goes back into local hockey, goes back into the community that we love. Great product, great people, local company, and whether you drink it straight or use it as a mixer, make sure Northland Vodka is your go-to this summer, ladies and gentlemen. Northland Vodka, a proud partner of the Sota Pod. Let's get to the Hoppy Hour here on the other side.
First, I'd like to propose a toast to UMD goaltender Alex Stalock. To Stalock! To Stalock!
I love that stuff. Been drinking it for years. You know, I heard they recently decided to add more hops to it.
You're all hopped out?
Woke up, hopped out of bed, feeling great. Felt refreshed as the shower water hit my face. Headed to the kitchen and I'm about to get a plate. Chest up, shoulders back, yeah, I'm walking straight. I left all my cares behind me. I'ma keep shining, don't mind me. Keep my head up even when trouble finds me. Time to chill. Call a couple real ones, light up the grill. We can just slide, meet me outside. We can kick back with good tunes and good vibes, yeah. Poolside, chillin' in the summertime. Cool breeze, blowing and I'm feeling fine. Blue sky, good vibes. Now we living in the better times. Better times. Better times. Better times. Good vibes. Now we living in the better times.
Oh yeah, we on chill time. Walk in, you can feel why. Some beaming on the ground, you feel it all around. The love's so real, you can hear it in the sound, yeah. Just chill, hand at the wheel. Windows down, they got that real good feel. Take another breath, love is real. Open your eyes and see clear, yeah.
Do I look sunburnt? What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Hoppy Hour here on the channel. And today We have a funky one here. We have a little bit of a change of pace as we go to our neighboring state of Wisconsin to try a beer from Oliphant Brewing. This here is something a little sweet, something that might be complex, but from what I've seen in the reviews, from what people have told me, isn't super rich. Let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. We have the Honeys, a peanut butter and honey golden ale with some funky can art here, guys. Look at this. Very cool stuff. Awesome job here with the label. It's coming in at 5.6%, ladies and gentlemen. It's a golden ale brewed with honey and lactose with peanut butter flavor, so not actual peanut butter extract in this one. Out of Wisconsin. I've had a few Oliphant beers before. All of them were really good, to be honest. All of them were really good. This one's rated incredibly high on Untapped. We will see what you folks have to say about this on the app after I take my first few sips here. I'll snap a couple pictures and I will give you my rating after the review. Nice dark honey tone to this. Honey peanut butter golden ale. Let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. Oh, wow. Oh my god. Yep, this is exactly what is advertised. Right away you get that honey. It just punches you in the face, followed by a little bit of that roasty peanut butter. Gotta imagine it's more of on the craft side, because this is honestly insanely sweet. Insanely sweet. Now, is it rich? Is it thick at all? No, it is. I don't know if I can say it's light or light bodied, but it's not super rich. It's just really f***ing sweet. It's almost like graham cracker or like French toast right when it hits you. A little crisp, so much honey though. Like honestly, this tastes like there is a hint of peanut butter in this. I would like a little bit more of it, to be honest, but like I love peanut butter, so I might be the exception there. But this honestly tastes like if you took a run-of-the-mill golden ale and just freaking squeezed all of this inside, every last bit of it, honestly. And shoot, I don't know if I like it too much. It's as advertised. The older I get, I just don't want my beer to be sweet unless it's like a barrel-aged imperial stout or a smoothie sour from Drecker or something like that. I don't know why I expected this one to be less sweet, but for some reason I did. Yeah, the more I sip on it, the less peanut butter I get and more literally like I took a slam of beer and just dumped some of this honey down my gullet. I love honey, so like, again, it's good. It's just, could I drink more than one of these? Shoot, in a month? Probably not. If I found this as a single, yeah, share this with a few people. I think what Oliphant was aiming for, they hit it. For those who like sweeter ales, you would love this. Hell, you might even give it like 4 out of 5 on Untapped. It's not necessarily my style of golden ale. Just like if I had like a coffee blonde ale, for example, I don't want it to be super sweet. And we had that coffee cake beer just a few weeks ago, and that one wasn't wicked sweet, and that's why I liked it. A hint of sugar, hint of sweetness, a hint of coffee cake, and then more roasty, right? Whereas this if this was a little bit more roasty, if the peanut butter could balance out that honey just a little bit more, then I would probably rate it as high as even my friends on Untapped. Yeah, this is another one where it's like, I can't be super critical of it other than it's just not my style, so my rating is going to reflect that a little bit. But let's snap a picture and see what you guys have to say on Untapped as we post this as well. Alright, what do you folks have to say about this one? Okay, so I have two friends on this app who have checked in and reviewed this one as well. Over 10,000 people have checked in on the app and reviewed and tasted this beer. You know, peanut butter honey golden ale that contains lactose. The majority of people describe it as having honey, sweet, smooth, subtle, light body. Now, I agree with honey, sweet, and smooth. Subtle, light-bodied, I said in the opening segment. It's not heavy, it's not dark, it's not rich, but I can't quite call it light. It's somewhere in the middle. And it looks like my buddy Joey and yours truly, Hoppy, have rated this one. And damn, Hoppy has it 3.75 and Joey has it at 4 out of 5. Wow. Average rating of 3.87. For this one. Again, if you get a 4 out of 5 on Untapped, that's huge, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody rates a beer over like 4.25. I don't think I've ever even seen one that's 4.5. Man, again, my rating is going to reflect me not necessarily liking sweet golden ales. But again, they wanted a nice natural honey flavor? Check. They wanted a hint of peanut butter? Check. Could it be more roasty? Absolutely. And I guess that's my only true criticism of this, even beyond like my style preference bias, is it needs a little bit more peanut butter. It needs to be a little bit more roasty. And I think them adding peanut butter flavor and not peanut butter extract probably is the reason for that. But honey-wise, like it tastes like honey. It doesn't just taste like sugar. It tastes like honey, which now the more I drink it is very, very impressive, to be honest. Bro, I feel like I can see the honey in this bad boy. Look at this Look at them floaties in there. I can see that honey, bro. I can see that honey. Oh yeah, if there was just a little bbit more peanut butter, if it was just a little bit more, not even peanut butter forward, but just roasty, it would be perfect. And I might even give it like a 3. I might have even given it a 4 because I feel like the dominant slap in the face honey flavor would be balanced out a little bit and this would be perfect. I do think since the name is honey, let me tell you, there's a lot in this. So I'm gonna rate it at, God, I might be harsh on this one. I'm not gonna let Joey or Hoppy influence me. A 3.25. I'm giving it a 3.25. If I liked sweet beers, especially sweet ales more, like if I liked sweeter coffee beers, I would probably give this over 3.5, somewhere between one of Joey or Hoppy's ratings. And by the way, if you want to follow me on Untapped, you can at VI Sports Talk, just like all my other social handles. But yeah, I don't know what else there is to say. I feel like they nailed everything they were going for here. My preference, my only critique, I want a little bit more peanut butter flavor. I want it to be a little bit more roasty to balance out that shot of honey that hits you in the face upon drinking this. That's going to do it for today's beer review, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to do it for today's Hoppy Hour. If you dig this segment, if you dig this series, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments which style of beer you want me to review next and what specific beer or beer tier lists you want me to dive into, assuming I can pick up the beers in the Midwest, in the Minnesota area. This is absolutely insane. Oliphant Brewing, I can tell that they care about their product, that they use great ingredients here, and that it is a respectable brewery. Like I said, I've had a few of their beers before, and I've liked every single one. I'm being overly critical here because I'm a peanut butter junkie. When you give me something with peanut butter, I can't not be a little picky when it comes to it. But overall, this was super enjoyable. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Maybe this will help. That should balance it out, right? Oh, too much. Too much. That's better.
Again, guys, on Untapped, raving reviews. And it was fine. I don't know.
If I'm going for a golden ale, I don't want it to be that sweet. I feel like a hipster in this situation, except I'm the opposite side of the fence here. I feel like I should be the one arguing for something a little different. But no, I want the same. Anyways, we got some hockey to talk about. And before we bring Seth on here, as he is waiting in the wings, I got to quickly talk about our friends at 7th Avenue Pizza. Big shout out to Matt and the crew for hooking up the Sota Pod gang this last weekend, keeping us fed during a bachelor party weekend. Not my bachelor party weekend, but a friend's bachelor party weekend. Matt and the crew, amazing people, and it's the best pizza on the planet. It really is. And everybody who we fed at this bachelor party, be it for breakfast with the breakfast pizza, lunch, a midnight snack, 3 a.m. snack, all of them said, I will never eat anything but this again, and I will only eat it in triangles. It just warmed my heart. It just warmed my heart. It warmed the hearts of the good people at 7th Avenue Pizza, and it should convince you to go out and get yourself some today. Whether it's Jerry Foods, Lunds & Byerly, Hy-Vee, and more. If they don't have it at your local grocery store, make sure that they request it or hit up Matt and the crew on social media at 7th Ave Pizza. They're totally interactive, they're totally responsive, and they will make sure that you can get some locally as well. Best pizza in the world. Amazing people, local company. 7th Avenue Pizza, a proud partner of the Sota Pod. Seth Toupal of Locked On Wild on the other side. And we are back for another hockey segment this week, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Sota Pod with our partner in crime here, the host of none other than Locked On Wild, Seth Toupal. How's it going, buddy?
Going great. Got the Timberwolves game on in the background. We're vibing. We're a lot of great end of series playoffs this weekend. Both the NBA and the NHL. PWHL Minnesota completing we're going to win the final 3 games of the series.
Hey, and thank you for bringing that up right away, because that was going to be something I led with as well. Fuck Toronto, and the Minnesota hockey team is my new favorite team here in Minnesota. I could care less about the Vikings. The only purple I'm going to be rocking is for the Minnesota hockey team. On to the second round.
Yeah, unfortunately, Boston grabbed the 4-3 win today. But this is my favorite part about this whole thing is that Toronto got the opportunity to pick their opponent.
Yeah.
They chose Minnesota. They went up 2-0, and after that it was curtains. Minnesota won the final 3 games, got themselves into the next round. So tip of the cap, and that was a lot of fun in addition to all the other playoffs over the weekend.
Yeah, leave it to the ladies to make sure that there's some positivity in Minnesota sports. Because I mean, I was just gonna say, because there's no positivity in Minnesota Wild. But you know what? I feel like the dust has settled from like the end of the season. A lot of the Minnesota Wild players are cooking over there at the Worlds, and every other hockey fan here in the state is just dialed into the playoffs, whether it's NBA, whether it's the NHL, whether it's fucking golf or boxing this last weekend, because oh my god, this weekend of sports was just insane on the NBA front, the National Hockey League front. You know, Tyson Fury, Usyk, heavyweight champion of the world, led Scott in the right direction to win some money there. So
Scotty Scheffler getting arrested.
Oh my god,
round 2 of the PGA Tour, whatever the tour championship I think it was. I don't remember the exact event, but
Valhalla. So I don't know. It wasn't major, but it was at Valhalla. But
got arrested trying to get in.
Oh, that was wild. I was at a bachelor party weekend, and that was hilarious to wake up to, seeing Scotty Scheffler in the orange jumpsuit. He joins some
elite company.
I was just gonna say some elite company there, though.
Yeah, there's been no shortage of players that have suffered a similar fate.
Yeah, but some big names too. That's what I'm saying. Like he's on freaking the Rushmore now of actually interesting stories in golf.
John Daly,
legend.
My favorite part was the quote too, where they were asking him like,
oh my God, yes.
what are you doing? Like, how do you mentally kind of come back from that? He's like, well, I did some stretching in the jail cell, which was weird. And I'm like, okay, that's
I love how they pushed the event like an hour and a half ahead, just, because of this situation.
it's like, that's a statement that has been probably never uttered before. I did some stretching in a jail cell.
It was wild. And by no means are we like making light of like, because obviously there was a pedestrian who passed away there, and we're not making light of that at all. It's just, these stories don't happen in golf. And just focusing on the Scheffler side of things, it was just like, what? This is crazy. This is absolute madness. The way that how basically a misunderstanding, had the domino effect here to delay a major in golf, which was nuts.
Unbelievable.
But anyways,
that's sports for you.
That's sports, man. That's sports. And Usyk now. Usyk is the heavyweight champion of the world. The undisputed three belt, three promotion, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Just for those sports nerds out there hasn't been a heavyweight undisputed boxing match since Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield. And I believe it was 98, but those are the two involved. So this was like, again, I'm a combat sports fan, but boxing's like lower on the totem pole. But like, even some of like my buddies, college friends, and friends who were invited on this bachelor party weekend were like, we got to watch this fight. And I was like, you guys honestly care more about the fight than me. And, some of the parents who were there too. So the dads, they were pumped on it as well. So like I said, just a great weekend of sports all around. And to focus in on one particular tournament here as well, Seth, is the IIHF World Championships. And the only two Minnesota Wild players involved this Sunday, the time of recording this, were Matt Zuccarello and Marco Rossi, as Austria took on Norway. And Austria actually beat the living breaks off Norway in that game 4-1. So Rossi went head-to-head against Zuccarello. Zuccarello did have an assist on the only goal scored for Norway. Marco Rossi involved in 3 of the 4 goals, 3 assists in that game. So each of them putting up some points, which is, good to see from a Wild perspective. The quarterfinals start May 23rd. Ladies and gentlemen, at the time of this recording, again, Sweden is leading Group B with 15 points. USA right behind them with 13. And funny enough, Germany in 3rd place in that group, above some pretty good teams. Canada in Group A with 17 points, followed by Czech and Switzerland with 15 and 14 points. So again, this is what I love about the world, is you see the teams like Switzerland, you see the teams like Germany, actually show off some of their domestic talent with a few NHL players sprinkled in there, right? Versus the Olympics, where we're getting back to real Olympics, where it's like NHL heavy rosters, who is really the best on best.
And, that's the part that I kind of enjoy about this tournament too, is it's some of these names that you don't typically hear, but how many Wild players, in fact, I don't think there's a single Wild player that isn't having a good tournament.
Boldy's looking amazing too on Team
Boldy's
USA.
leading the whole thing in scoring.
Yep. Sweden is just buzzing right now, right?
Sweden,
leading their
Joel
division.
Eriksson's looking great. Philip Gustafsson's looking great. Rossi, Zuccarello. Marcus Johansson has, I think, 9 points in 6 games. Like, it's...
There's some good games. Well. There's some good games. Obviously, like NHL is going to get priority, and it being in Prague, it's at some weird times, but yeah, man. Boldy's 2 player of the game so far as well. Yep. I mean, 1 was against France, and you better fucking beat France. I mean, historically, you do.
Then he had the 6-point game against Kazakhstan.
Yeah, but honestly, I bet Kazakhstan put up a better fight because the French probably just bent the knee after the second period. But anyways, I can make fun of the French. I'm from Canada. Okay. I meant Quebec. Anyways. But yeah, man, it's been a fun world so far. It's been fun worlds. I know you mentioned earlier there were some great ends of the series this weekend as far as NHL playoff goes. I'm going to disagree because the Canucks are still fucking in it. Couldn't take care of business on Saturday. They took care of business on Thursday, but that was a great game against Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton Oilers threw it right back into their face on Saturday and actually scored. I mean, the Canucks dominated them on Thursday, but didn't necessarily have the scoring that Edmonton Well, threw on them and successfully put on them in that game. And man, if that wasn't hard enough for the Vancouver Canucks, Burnsville's own Brock Boeser, he's going to be out for Game 7, just when Brock Boeser was on a heater in the playoffs, coming off an amazing season, just when we thought that he put a lot of injuries and stuff behind him and was able to now focus on hockey. Blood clotting issue. Now, it's not life-threatening, but, he's missing Game 7 and the timeline is unknown. This could just be, something small and obviously it's not life-threatening, but blood clotting is no joke, and you want to make sure that you treat that as early as possible. And we've seen a lot of professional athletes come back from this pretty soon, so this could be a short timeline, but it really could be long if, they want to be precautious and make sure that down the road he can still have a longer career and not have to face this in the near future. But obviously, from a health perspective, I want Brock to be okay. From a degenerate sports fan, this is a kick in the balls, Seth. This is a kick in the balls, and it's just Canucks luck for you.
Yeah, it's incredibly tough because this isn't a physical injury.
Yeah, this isn't Brock. You blocked a shot and you shouldn't have, and it's a high ankle sprain or whatever.
Yeah, this isn't where it's like, okay, we'll take 6 weeks and you'll rehab and get yourself back to where you can play. Like
this is a question mark.
This is a huge question mark, and it's something that it's something that can go away for a while and then flare up again. Like there's not as much of a concrete timetable for return for this. And so obviously, that's where the out indefinitely comes in. And yeah, you said it. It's unfortunate timing because he was leading the way for this Vancouver team that is on the brink of making it to the Western Conference Finals. And for this Vancouver team, that's just another obstacle that they're going to have to overcome. But I would say they have done pretty well considering that their two top goalies have been out for most of the postseason. But
and Pettersson has been, Pettersson has 1 goal. Oof. 1. And he has not been good. Like, this is going to be a weird statement, but it's like, I hope that he's dealing with something physical, like a physical injury, and it's not between the ears. Because if it's between the ears, this isn't good. This isn't good, especially with the contract extension that they just signed him to, right? But if it's an injury, it's like, hey, I can be understanding, right? Especially since he's had wrist issues in the past. He has an incredible shot. He hasn't been shooting. He can barely dish it to his opponent's, stick at this point. So, yeah, it's been tough. But you said the fact that the Canucks have been able to get this far without their top goalie, without their backup goalie, with their 23-year-old AHL goalie, right? Without Pettersson, with other guys stepping up, that's awesome to see. In that, next year the roster is not going to be that much different, other than Hronek's probably going to be gone because apparently he wants $7+ million a season. Yeah, dude, he's good, but holy crap, dude! Sign Zadorov for 4.5 and call Bob's your uncle. But anyways, we won't get down much more Vancouver Canucks news. I just wanted to touch on Brock Boeser there. 7 goals, 12 assists. 7 goals, 12 points in 12 playoff games so far. So he's been absolutely buzzing for the Vancouver Canucks. And even in his last only playoff appearance back in, 2019, 2020, he did have 11 points in 17 games, but he's already beaten that in 5 less games here. So wishing Brock the best. And even if this is the end for his playoff series this year, what a tremendous season. 40 goals, 73 points, 81 games for a guy who's dealt with injury and just family stuff with everything he was dealing with his dad, rest in peace. Just everything that this young man has had to deal with. It was so cool to see him finally get through and just reach that potential this year. And in the playoffs, he just kept it going. So if this is the end of his season, he had a fucking awesome season, and I hope he gets better soon. Back to some Minnesota Wild news here, Seth. A lot of, I don't want to say movement, but a lot of front office hires here and promotions in the Minnesota Wild this last week. Matt Sells, Michael Murray, and Chris Kelleher were were hired as assistant managers, essentially. Seth, what does that mean for the Minnesota Wild here moving forward?
Well, it is interesting. I was a little surprised that the Wilds elected to fill all of these possessions from within.
Internally, yep.
Yeah, all the guys that they promoted have all been with the organization for at least the last couple of seasons. Now, don't be surprised if we see the Wild add some other front office personnel, because these guys had key roles that they are stepping out of to fill obviously one of the biggest spots on the team, which is handling the salary cap, handling contract negotiations, handling the collective bargaining agreement. All of these things that the Wild spent basically the entire second half of the season without. So it's going to be really good to have all that stuff filled. But the interesting one for me is Iowa. A new GM for the Iowa Wild after a disappointing season for them, with a ton of roster turnover because the Wilds dealt with so many injuries. You had a bunch of Iowa players that spent most of the season with Minnesota. So having a new set of eyes to kind of look at that roster is really interesting to me. Amongst those positions that were announced last week.
Dude, I'm so excited for this hire, as Matt Hendricks was promoted to general manager of the Iowa Wild. And it's crazy that, like, because it just feels like yesterday he's playing for the fucking Capitals, Seth. Like, it's crazy, man. It's just, and I really liked Matt Hendricks' game, right? Because he would muck it up. Minnesota boy, entering his 6th season working with the Wild in a front office role. 6 years already. How crazy is that, man? Most recently, he was serving as assistant director of player development. And yeah, now taking the reins in Iowa, he will obviously cover the day-to-day stuff there, but he will continue to support the Wild's player development department, some advising and work hands-on in some cases if needed. So I love when players successfully go down the coaching route, successfully get into front office, and we see a positive rise in the rankings, right? And some can't do it, right? We've seen, Gretzky tried to be a coach. Some people just, it's just not for them. Sometimes their mind is served to be a player versus someone in hockey operations or even coaches. But it's something I love to see, especially from some of these guys like Hendricks, far from the player that Steve Yzerman was, but definitely has a talent for, a knack for, and the brains for it, clearly. So I absolutely love this move. Are the Wild potentially developing their successor? They're on ice turned, general manager. Is Billy Guerin's successor internal, Seth, in Matt Hendricks?
It's interesting because I would have said that the likely successor was Chris O'Hearn, because evidently, him and Guerin had a very strong relationship, but obviously all the stuff that happened that led to O'Hearn and the Wild agreeing to part ways. It is interesting because
amicably, by the way, amicably.
Yes, 100%.
Get out, stick boy.
This is something that I don't think gets talked about enough, because obviously having that dual title for Bill Guerin, at some point you would imagine he's maybe going to transition more to the president of hockey ops than the GM side. Will he get to that point anytime soon? It remains to be seen, but he has been pretty vocal in the past that this is going to be his final stop in his hockey.
He's had a pretty short hockey ops career too, because he came right from Pittsburgh AHL general manager to working with the Penguins, and then now with the Wild. But interesting. So he's here. If the Wild keep him, he's here for the long term sort of thing. He's not going to leave on his own accord sort of thing. Dude, you know what? If things work out and we see, 3 years, Matty Hendricks down there, completely reshapes the AHL team. And if they do make the playoffs, not going to barring like players having to go up to the Wild for injury, but if they get a good core down there and actually make some noise in the playoffs, that's usually what it takes. Either a championship down there or just like consistent success getting there, using, the pieces that you have. And man, if 3 to 5 years, if Billy Guerin moves into that president's at hockey, president of operations, Matty Hendricks comes up, that would be fucking sweet, man.
The other part of this, the other thing to keep in mind with this too, is that this allows the Wild, if any of those assistants, if they view one of them as kind of the leader in that department, and some other team comes knocking to try to poach them, then you could go that route too to keep somebody. You could say, all right, we're going to elevate them from assistant general manager to actual GM, and Bill Guerin will retain the president of hockey operations title if it comes to that. Like, that would be another route that they could go to. You see this all the time in like the NFL, where a coordinator gets an assistant head coach position, a title promotion, so that they don't end up leaving.
Right. And a little bonus here on the side.
A little bit, just to make it worth their while.
Yeah, not quite that, KHL cash in the bag type bonus, but
yeah, not that Mike Babcock money.
Jeez. Well, I mean, I don't even think the KHL could pay him as much as Shanahan was, dude. Come on now, 10 mil, let's go. But anyways, yeah. So sorry. So Sells was entering his 6th season with the Wild, most recently serving as vice president of hockey strategy for 3 seasons. Murray was entering his 5th season with Minnesota Wild, recently serving as director of hockey operations / general manager for Iowa. And Keller is entering his 18th season with the Minnesota Wild, most recently serving as director of player personnel for the last 2 years. So those are their positions before. Matt Hendricks, congratulations to him. I'm just rooting for him. I always loved the way he played. 4th liner, but you need those, man. And he shed a lot of blood for the Capitals when I was watching a lot of their games right out of high school. So shout out to Matty Hendricks. That's awesome. Speaking of the KHL though, Seth, holy fuck, is there a story brewing there? Whether it's true or not, this is actually a way funner topic to dissect and talk about with you here, because the Flyers were still kind of left out of the loop. Folks, if you don't know, MATVEI Michkov was reported to have had his contracted terminated, not necessarily by SCA in the KHL, but just contract terminated, all right? Broad Street Hockey just reported today, or wrote a great blog today, talking about how earlier today, again Sunday, a reporter by the name of Artur Karulin of a Russian media sports outlet Sports Express reported that Michkov is expected to terminate the remainder of his contract with SCA St. Petersburg of the KHL and will, and I quote, continue his career in Philadelphia. Now, Michkov signed a 5-year deal with this KHL team in 2021. And believe it or not, Seth, this story threw the Flyers off a bit, as in this article, Broad Street Hockey, they were quoted saying that they're trying to actively see if this is accurate reporting, because they were left out of the loop. So maybe something happened between the Michkov camp and SCA as recently as this weekend, and now he's trying to, for lack of a better term, defect.
That would be my guess, is that the Flyers were finding out about this information essentially from an article like this. And so what I would imagine happened is that a reporter reached out for comment, and the Flyers were like,
what?
Huh? This is news to us. Yeah, I would imagine it's just, and look, those situations are very fluid. I mean, you can have a team, we see this play out with players where it's like, okay, until you sign your extension, we're going to restrict your minutes, and we're going to put you on the 4th line until you opt to re-up with us. And so every now and again, I suppose the reverse happens, where they may have just seen the writing on the wall that he wasn't going to be there long term, and they just said, well, there's no point in trying to keep him here. Like, let's just cut bait and move on.
I mean, that's like in North America, sure. It just, for me, it's like, this doesn't, the Russians don't give up their star players that easily. I mean,
right.
Even look with Kaprizov. They didn't want him to leave either.
Yeah, no, they tried to hang on to him as long as they possibly could, and I don't know. This is just it is something. It's very interesting.
Something's brewing. Where there's smoke, there's fire, as they say, right?
Yes.
But in any ordinary circumstance, he would have been drafted second overall, right behind Bedard, 100%. Right? But because he was under contract for 3 more years at that time, 2 more years now, he was drafted 7th, and the Flyers got an absolute steal. And what Daniel Briere was quoted saying was, if we have to wait, we'll wait for him. Well, he might not have to wait now, Seth. And from a Flyers team that actually, I think, I don't want to say like overperformed, but took a step that was a little unforeseen. I don't think they're going to regress this year. I think they're at least going to be, they didn't make the playoffs, right? Like, they're not a playoff team, but they were not a bottle of the barrel team. If Michkov joins them, that could be a spark that really elevates them to that next step, and maybe even forces them to make some changes to boost up the roster a little bit ahead of schedule. And I'm not saying put all the chips in the center yet, but like, okay, we have that piece now that can actually change a franchise.
You are absolutely correct. This Flyers team felt like one that did as well as they could within the limitations of what their roster was working with.
Reach the ceiling on paper. Didn't overperform, but reach the ceiling on paper.
They sputtered at the end of the year.
Yep.
And
came back down to earth.
You have a coach in John Tortorella he excels at getting the most out of a roster. He's done it time and time again.
It's crazy, right?
We keep
doubting him. We keep doubting him.
And he just continues to do it.
Yeah.
He just continues to do it everywhere he goes.
Well, that's why I say he's the best coach that I've seen watching hockey ever. He's my favorite coach.
We've seen it here over the last couple of years. A rookie in the right spot can absolutely give you a jolt, can give your team the life that it needs, because what we often see in the difference between veteran players and rookies, veteran players, their floor is like here.
Yep.
Their ceiling may, depending on who, like a middle six guy or, a third line guy, your floor is probably here. Your ceiling's not super high, but you're going to get a baseline this level of performance. Now, a rookie player, the floor might be down here, at least to start, but the ceiling is way up here.
And the ceiling might even be better than you think.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because you see guys pop that you didn't even expect to. I mean, look at I always go back to that one Tampa Bay Lightning, the triplets line, the Palat, Johnson, and obviously Kucherov. They all, 2nd round pick, what was it, 5th round pick, and 7th round pick. On paper, none of them were supposed to be what they are. They had the potential to be good, right? And so I would just go back to all 3 of them on the same fucking line too, which is crazy.
Well, and you might have a player who gets that confidence boost of being able to do a lot of things right away, and then they end up being able to sustain it because they're like, yeah, I can withstand kind of this initial wave of playing at the NHL level. And it turns out my skills work pretty darn good at this level. So I'll just go out and do it every night.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Matvei Michkov, 47 games played this year. He only played 1 game for St. Petersburg. He played the rest of the season for Sochi, which I totally forgot about. But yeah, 19 goals, 41 points. Man, he's ready. He is so ready for the National Hockey League. And 19 years of age, one of the best U20 players to ever come out of Russia. He broke Alex Ovechkin's record as the youngest player to suit up for the Russian national team at 16 years old. And with 19 goals, like I said, 22 assists, 47 games. Okay, so he was loaned to Sochi, but yeah, still under contract with SKA. He fell just 2 points shy of breaking the KHL single season scoring record by a player under 20 years old, which currently is held by Kirill Kaprizov of the Minnesota Wild.
I've heard of him.
Yeah,
I've heard that name before.
This kid's 19. It's because 19, man, he's putting up points like Kaprizov did, and he's going to come over sooner.
Good on Philly. They
he could put up 70 points in his first year. Honestly, I could see it.
That would be like,
I'm not going to say easily, but like,
wrap the Calder up right now. If he puts a 70-point season together in his rookie year, give him the Calder today.
Oh, bro, honestly, as much as I like my the Canadian in me doesn't want me to say this, like I kind of just hope like he's better than Bedard. I just really hope he is.
It's okay though, because
fuck you, Chicago.
Murat Huznadinov's going to win the Calder, and this will be a moot point.
Oh my god, I don't think there's enough Kirkland lube in the world for that, Seth. Oh my goodness. All right, what else do I got in my notes here? Just a couple more things, guys. Shorter show here today, mostly because, like, honestly, I feel like I have energy for a show, even though, like, I literally drank for 3 days straight, and I don't know. I gotta do a beer review after this. It's gonna be fun. Power
nap, man. Power naps.
Bro, I had a power nap. Yeah, I had a power nap.
That's the lifeblood of a lot of weekends in which you feel like you've got nothing left. All it takes is like a 30-40 minute power nap, and you are good to go.
We're here to go. And we got 2 more things to talk about. Man, this came out right after we were recording last week, but Valeri Nichushkin, man, we got to talk about this here. I mean, what was your reaction upon this, hitting your desk again, shortly after we recorded our episode last week?
Obviously, like, I first off didn't know there were levels to the player assistance program.
They're relatively new. Like, within the last decade, they've really invested in that program to really help, because before it was just a joke. It was just a title, but now they're actually trying to help the athletes.
And the fact that he's in, I believe, stage 3 of the player assistance program, leads to, that there's just a lot that goes into it. Honestly, I was floored most by the comments from his teammates in this whole thing, because,
and we can get to that. To that. That's why I wanted to lead on, just get your reaction, because I wasn't shocked, because he deals with addiction, and for those who don't know, or for those who do not know, he was suspended 6 months and placed on the stage 2 of the NHL's player assistant program. No pay for 6 months. Stage 3 means you violated stage 2, which was you had to remain sober while under the program. You couldn't test positive for any of their list of banned substances, right? And he took the morning skate the day of, before this news dropped, Seth. And then right when it dropped, apparently his name was like removed from the locker room and everything. They moved quick. Jeez. And yeah, so obviously stage 3 is violation of stage 2 treatment plan. Stage 4, by the way, is a year plus of no pay and suspension if he violates the terms of this next round here. Obviously, like, we want all people who suffer with addiction to get the help they need, and especially if they're in treatment. There's going to be ups and downs, and we can totally be understanding of that. It just the timing of it, and I guess that's the nature of the beast, right? There's never good timing for this to occur. But yeah, some of the quotes from the players were, I don't know if chilling is the right word, but they definitely gave me the feels. Eye-opening too, especially when you had like them like Casey Middlestats that was like, we're just wishing the best for Val. Hope everything's okay. And then you have Jack Johnson, who has played with him for a little while now, veteran. Jack Johnson's probably seen a lot from all sorts of casting characters in the league and teammates. And he was quoted saying to the Denver Post, he made his decision. That's all I'm going to say on that. He made his decisions. I mean, and it's so tough because he was literally their best player in the playoffs, one of their best players in the playoffs, and their season's done now. And I'm not blaming Valeri, but like, that's a big blow to your team, whether it's injury, whether it's a situation like this, a key roster player is being removed from the roster, and from your teammates' point of view, they're obviously going to be more understanding probably now that like the dust settles. Like when the dust settles, but when you're in it, you're being paid millions of dollars to win, and it's just like, we were leaning on you. We were leaning on you.
Yeah, and some of the teammates, you have the reactions of like obviously players hoping for his well-being, but it's a critical game. Like your season's on the line, and for guys to his teammates are like, hey, we need you.
Like, and I think also it's probably things like, man, like we had your back. Like, why did you come to us if you were struggling, right?
Right.
And we would have,
100%.
whether you had to leave the team, we would rather that way. Us maybe helping you, leading you to what you needed, or you leaning on us versus the way it went down, right? So I can understand frustration there, where it's like, man, we've had your back this whole year since you come back, and Seth, for his success, he must have had a good support group, right? Because you don't get through this stuff and bounce back in life, as a professional athlete, for fuck's sake, but just in life without support, right? And you've got to think that his team was supportive. So that's when I heard Jack Johnson say that, because Middlesett's still relatively new to the team. When I heard Jack Johnson say that, I was like, man, that I feel like that's where it was coming from. Like, why didn't you lean on your support group? And go out like this, you know what I mean? So
yeah, that's exactly right. Like it's a terrible situation all around, and there's going to be more that comes out on this. Like, this will not be the last we hear of this.
No, for sure. But anyways, yeah, we wish him all the best, but we won't be seeing Valeri for a little while again. We won't be seeing Valeri and Nichuskin for a little while again. So let's see how. It's gonna be interesting to see what the Avs do next year. They're not going to make too many moves, but they have some decisions to make.
They got some. They basically have to make decisions on their entire bottom six. Yeah, and do you continue with Alexander Gorgiev? There's a lot that needs to be figured out for that Avs team.
Absolutely. All right, last story here, guys. Rod Brind'Amour, contract extension with the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, he really, and obviously the roster helps, but he really has been a catalyst for success there in Carolina. Now, they're far from a cup. I wouldn't go as far as to say they've been disappointments in the playoffs. He hasn't got them over the hump that I think a lot of people figured they'd get over by now. But I think overall, like, it's not like they're going to regress anytime soon here. And they clearly think that as well, as he was signed to a 5-year extension coming off that 3-year deal. What were your thoughts on this, Seth, when you heard about this?
They had to. Carolina was not going to be able to, and I say they had to. He's obviously a very good coach, but like, you don't want to deal with the PR hit that would have happened had he gone somewhere else. And you're going to have to pony up a little bit more than you would have normally wanted to pay, because every single team that had a coach opening was going to put as much as they could into it. Like, Seattle, all those teams, every single one that had an opening was going to be throwing a full court press on Rod Brind'Amour. And if you're Carolina, you pony up a little bit, and you get this taken care of, so you can move on to the other key pressing moments of the off season. Yeah, and it's just so cool. Like, Stanley Cup champion, captain for the Carolina Hurricanes, was an awesome player for the Carolina Hurricanes. I mean, and after a really good run in Philadelphia as well, man. Like, he never quite hit 100, but he put up 97 points with the Philadelphia Flyers at one point, right? 87 points, 86 points, like, while also putting up 80 plus PIMs. I mean, yeah, players coach, they love him. Vancouver Islander as well, so I fucking love him. I know I've said this a few times, but there's a Junior B League on Vancouver Island, the Vancouver Island Junior Hockey League, and the Campbell River Storm, the small town that I was born in, Seth, was also the small town that Brindy was born in, and their rink is the Brindy. So it's like it's his rink, man. So it's just super cool. There's a lot of ties to Vancouver Island. And he comes home every summer. I even had some friends who like played with his kids at one point, and he's a Vancouver Island legend.
and I love that they locked him up. And I do think like Carolina's they're gonna continue to make some noise, and they're gonna reach the heights that we projected they'd reach soon here.
Oh,
they're no Toronto Maple Leafs, okay?
That's a team that is the old adage of they're a couple pieces away. Like that is a team that truly is a couple pieces away. Now they're going to have.
Well, Genso might be their piece now if he's there. If he stays there.
Yeah, they have a couple of things that they need to kind of iron out, but that team is still going to be one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference next year, hands down.
Absolutely, and like I said, they're not the Maple Leafs. It's not like we set these huge expectations for them to go get the cup every single year. It's like Carolina, I mean, they could be there. They're going to be dangerous, but they're up against the Rangers. That's going to be a good series. And it was a good series. Mm-hmm. It was a good series. Both of them had opportunities to win it, and Rangers came out on top. So good on them. By the way, speaking of the Leafs, Craig Berube, new head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. As much as I hate the Leafs guys, and I'll put aside all my bias here for a second, just for 1 second, like this is a good change of pace.
Mm-hmm. This feels like a perfect way to
move Marner out of the door. I'm kidding, but like this, what an opposite type of coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Berube is a good coach. Like he's not Mike Babcock, right? But he is going to, in the words of Red Foreman, some of these guys might get a foot up their ass.
Well, and it feels like this is kind of what is needed for this Toronto team. Like they have been one of the best regular season teams in the NHL for the last several seasons and have not been able to break through.
Have choked.
Yeah.
Like have like not fought a hard, like that's why I say they're different than Carolina, because like Carolina didn't choke. They haven't choked at all since they made the playoffs. Maybe they've underperformed at times. I'll give that, but like the Toronto Maple Leafs have like straight up like they've come into the playoffs and they've not looked good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, first round exit after first round exit after first round exit. The one year that Toronto did get past the first round, then they just get waxed.
They wish they didn't.
Second. Yeah,
they wish they didn't.
Just got waxed in the second round. Like it is very much a team that needs a heavy dose of accountability
and experience, as Craig Berube he's been doing it longer at this level than Sheldon.
Yeah, I like it. I think he's I think he's going to be a good fit there. Selfishly, I wish he would stay in the booth because he was fantastic. He was fantastic in the TNT studios. And so best of luck to him. If the next person, the next coach that wins with that Toronto team, like it gets them to that next level,
there's gonna be a statue built of him.
Never gonna buy a drink ever again.
Oh no, I'm not even kidding. Like they're gonna build a statue of him.
Yeah,
it's gonna be wild. No, amazing stuff. I'm excited for Craig because I like him. I obviously hate the Leafs, but I do think like from a hockey perspective, this was a good move for them. Like this was a good move. And Hoppy brought this up over the weekend. He said that honestly, I think Willie Nylander's gonna fucking love it. Like I think he's gonna be like, let's fucking go.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't know. He's just like I just feel like Craig and Willie are gonna, they're gonna connect. They're gonna be boys.
Well, and Matthews even too. I feel like he'll get a big boost out of this. Like,
no, of course, yeah. And the only reason why I mentioned Marner is the one that might. I don't know if this will work for the benefit of him overall. But just Nylander being just such a weird dude who like is not, and I'm not saying Matthews is a pushover dog because Matthews isn't, right? Like he's a very good two-way player, but Nylander just has that like no fucks given, but not in like, I'm not gonna not train, I'm not gonna skip the gym. He's just kind of weird out there and probably be like seething, like, put me in, coach, put me in. I'll fucking do it. I'll skate by these guys. They're not gonna be able to hit me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like he just got that little bit of
dripping
like,
down his face.
He's just got a little bit of that psycho gene, and I feel like Craig and him will connect, right?
He'll unleash the full Berube experience.
Yeah, Hoppy brought that up, and I was just like, the light bulb went off. I was like, oh, that's gonna be fucking awesome. That's gonna be awesome. So, anyways, yeah, that's it, Seth. Did I miss anything? Is there anything else I left on the shelf there? I mean, I was in a drunken daze all weekend. did a bunch of prep here today. I mean, I shouldn't say all weekend because Hoppy and I did have some hockey talk. I watched some hockey, but as far as catching up with everything that went on, my phone was not in my hand most of the weekend as I had beers in hand instead. So did we miss anything? And if not, please let us know what's coming up on Locked On this week.
We are continuing through our off-season content. We got some player grades coming up this week. I'm going to be talking about Cole Eiserman, who evidently is like a goal per game guy, not a point per game, a goal per game guy. So
he's also a traitor. I just got to throw that out.
So that's kind of the formula is, we're doing player grades, we're doing draft profiles. We're going to talk through some other things and as many Timberwolves parallels as I can make. Congratulations to Timberwolves. They did it.
They won.
Spoiler alerts for those that haven't watched the game yet. They did it.
Bro, it's coming out like Monday at like noon. Everyone's seen it.
Everybody knows.
Let's go. Everyone knew except for me. At the end of this recording, let's go. The Minnesota women hockey team. They got past the first round, and the Timberwolves are looking good, baby. They made this. I mean, to be honest, they almost gave all you basketball fans a heart attack this series, but that's playoffs, baby. That's playoffs. So, hey, congratulations to the T-Wolves. Congratulations again to getting out of that first round to the Minnesota hockey team. And I'll be joining Seth later this week, ladies and gentlemen. As always, go subscribe to Locked On Wild on YouTube. Go check it out. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, especially for either the Thursday or Friday episode. Depending on our schedules, I appear on either or, but we will definitely keep you guys abreast of which day that is on social media. Follow Seth Locked On social media, Locked On Wild. Follow us at SodaPod on Twitter, everywhere else at the SodaPod. And again, if you're listening on the podcast side of things, to get the full experience of every SodaPod episode Monday, go check us out on YouTube as you get the entire video version of the beer review and you get to see Seth's beautiful face every week. So you mine as well. Big shout out to Seth as always. And man, there was a few other things that we didn't get to this week. I promise we will dive into it next week. I didn't want to shortchange the story of what's coming out again from the Chicago Blackhawks, but I promise we will check in on Rick Westhead's reporting next week, guys. I promise. Before we wrap up the show here, I just want to give a big shout out to our friends at Better Edge, ladies and gentlemen. Better Edge is a free platform with legal betting in the state of Minnesota among 44 other states. And if you go to betteredge.com/SotaPod, you can claim a $20 signing bonus on us. $20 to play around with, whether you want to make UFC picks, whether you are focusing on the rest of the NHL playoffs. Baseball season is upon us. NFL just around the corner. Better Edge has you covered. They got it all, ladies and gentlemen. They got all the sports on betteredge.com. And again, betteredge.com/SotaPod. Try out the app. Try out the platform on us today. Throughout the NHL regular season, Hoppy and I do host game day pick'em contests. We host brackets for tournaments like the high school hockey tournament and the NCAA Frozen Four, as well as other great games and contests that we will have for you guys this next season. If you are already on the platform and you want more out of it, you can check out Better Edge Premium, as premium players have access to free entry to premium pick'em contests, order grades, advanced order filterings, API access, and more. More details at betteredge.com/premium. But if you haven't even signed up yet and you want $20 to play around with and see if this platform is the right one for you, go to betteredge.com/SodaPod. Great people, local company, and I'm winning money with UFC and NHL picks. So I'm happy. We're giving you guys $20 to play around with. You should be happy. betteredge.com/SodaPod, a proud partner of the show. That's it, folks. That is it for the show. Please pray for me and my Vancouver Canucks. You guys are Minnesota Wild fans. You don't give a shit. That's okay. Thank you to those listening on your podcast app, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcast, or whatever you listen to here today. Don't forget to give us 5 stars and a review. It just helps us get in front of more listeners. And if you're watching us on YouTube, Smash that like button, subscribe, and don't forget to comment on the video as well. For those on the audio side of things, if you want to get the best experience of the show, especially the Hoppy Hour, go check us out on YouTube to check out the Hoppy Hour / beer review vlogs that you hear, but that you can see every week on YouTube every Monday at the Sota Pod on YouTube. We're at Sota Pod on X / Twitter. We're at the Sota Pod everywhere else. So go check us out there. I'm at VI Sports Talk on X and Twitter. Check out my second channel, The City Life Project, for more sports coverage and fun vlogs. With all that being said, signing off, I'm Isha Reviews alongside Seth Toupal from Locked on Wild. Don't forget to check out my appearance on his show this Thursday. This has been the Sota Pod, presented by our friends at Better Edge, 7th Avenue Pizza, Northland Vodka, and Waggle Golf. Don't fear, just drink some beer and stay wild.